Hey man, it's your boy TM Borden, and welcome back to another video. Hey, I got some heat news for you today, man. Apparently Paul George got traded to the 76ers, man. He's gonna be playing alongside Joel Hey, personally, I think Paul George is an elite two-way player and he's gonna impact the Sixers dramatically, man. I feel like his perimeter defense complements Joel Embiid's interior offense or defense. Joel Embiid's interior defense perfectly. Hey, without further ado, let's get straight into the video, man.
Stephen A. Smith, the host. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is yours truly, Stephen A. Smith.
We got Stephen A., Shannon Sharp,
the host,
Kendrick Perkins.
First Take this morning. You see my man Brian Windhorst, no tie.
No time.
Evidently not running for office today. We'll talk about that later. Big Perk with the yellow shirt on. Still looking very, very good, by the way. And I don't know if y'all noticed, he's a very big-time overachiever. Hi, Mrs. Perkins. How you doing? And of course, my man Shay himself. Shannon Sharp's in the house. Yours truly, Stephen A. Smith. How y'all doing? How was your weekend? Everybody?
Amazing.
Not as good as Paul George.
That would be true. That would be true. Now listen, we're about to get into some Paul George stuff, but before that, as the host of this show, I must inform you, this is not Molly World. This is not Christine World. We're not give you permission to talk.
Hey man, he got rules. Wait to speak until called upon. No cussing. You can read the rest next.
Until spoken to, and I give you permission to talk, okay? No cussing. You heard me? No cussing, all right? We got to make sure that's the case. Address me as Stephen A. or Mr. Stephen A. You understand?
Hey, man.
That right. The 76ers 4-year, $212 million maximum contract. So
the deal is $212 million for 4 years. If y'all can do the math, that's about 45 to 50 million per year, man. He's getting that bag. As well as Tyrese Maxey. He's getting a $204 million 5-year extension. If y'all can do the math, that's $40 million per year, man. He's going to be eating good steaks.
The Philadelphia 76ers sources tell ESPN early Monday morning. George's deal, which sources said includes a player option on the final season.
Okay, so it's really like a third year. It's 3 years, depending on how they do, if he wants to stay or not.
2027, 2028 brings him back to the Eastern Conference to partner with MVP center Joel Embiid and all-star guard Tyrese Maxey, who, according to Woj, our very own Adrian Wojnarowski, just agreed to a 5-year, $204 million max extension, all right? Look at this right here. The 76ers were 12-1 to win the title before agreeing to a deal with Paul George, but they're now 8-1.
Hey, man.
Behind only the Celtics and the Denver Nuggets. Shannon Sharp, we'll start with you. How big is this?
The East is low-key getting nice this year, bro.
Paul George 76ers deal in your estimation?
Ginormous. But everything, when we talk about the Sixers, we know guys, Wendy, Stephen A., everything is predicated on Joel Embiid's health.
Facts.
If he can ever stay healthy, he can stay healthy for the regular season, but somehow he gets nicked going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's really the only downside about this combo, man. That's really the only downside about this combo. Because Paul George and Joel Embiid are known to have bad injury history. So you just have to hope that they stay healthy and they can make a deep run. But as we can see with the Clippers last year, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they both had different injuries through the season and even in the postseason. So that really affected them, man.
Yeah, and that shuts him down a little bit. But if he can stay healthy with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, this is the biggest threat to knock Boston off that throne in the Eastern Conference.
Facts.
Because they have no answer for Joel Embiid. Paul George can play one-on-one. Tyrese Maxey is a superstar bludgeoning and becoming a superstar. And so
hey man, what y'all think? Y'all think Tyrese Maxey is becoming a superstar? Hot take.
You have a big three. Paul George is a proven commodity. Yeah, he's going to have his hiccups here and there. But he still can go get you 25 to 30 on a nightly basis. We know what Joel Embiid is. Joel Embiid was about to lead the league in scoring again until he missed too many games.
Right.
And Tyrese Maxey has proven this is why he's getting that max contract. I love this trade, and I don't know what the Clippers were thinking. Oh, just because this is the deal you did with Kawhi, that don't mean Paul George was going to accept that. Paul George says, I've been here. I'm worth this, and if you won't give it to me, someone else will. And that's what happened.
Hey man, PG got that bag.
Nobody's gonna treat you as good. You know what, Perk? Perk, you married. Stephen A., you and I, we dated in college and everything, but it was something about that new one that treated us better than our old one that made it real easy for us to leave. And that's what happened with Paul George. There was something about Philly, what they told you know what, we're going to take care of you. We're going to make sure you have everything. You want to fly your companion on the plane? You want to have this? You want to have that? PG started like, hold on, for real? Y'all going to do all that for me?
Hey, man, he getting that superstar treatment. PG, just don't be on any pandemic P time in this playoffs, man.
Me? Bye, Clippers. Bye, Kawhi. Even though Kawhi wanted him, and boy, look at that massive haul that they gave up. This might be the worst trade in epic proportions. We're going to look back later and see what they gave up to Paul George and what they got out of this. Woo! But Philly, they're dancing in the streets of Philadelphia because Paul George could possibly be that missing piece. I love it.
Wendy, before you chime in, I want to remind everybody it's not just about the money. It's not just about the additional years. Taxes are 14.4% state income tax in the state of California.
Okay.
Significantly less in the state of Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Wendy. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so to put this in the parlance of our times, both the 76ers and Paul George swiped right here, and they were each other's only match. If you look at it, there was only one team that could give Paul George a max contract in a straight signing. They didn't need a sign and trade, didn't need the Clippers' cooperation. Because even the Magic, they were going to get a meeting with him, and they went ahead and made another move. They knew they weren't getting him. That was the one place that Paul George could go to. If you're Philly, ever since they traded James Harden at the beginning of last season, they were going for cap space this summer. There was only one max-level free agent that they were really interested in. It was Paul George, and it had to work out that the two of them were available for each other, and it did. And the fit is tremendous because if you're in the Eastern Conference and you're looking up at Boston and you're looking up 95 and what the Knicks have built, you need a wing player. You need a wing player that can play both ends of the court.
Yes.
Paul George is maybe the prototypical player. He's coming off a season where he played 74 games and had the best shooting season of his career. It fits perfectly. And look, we heard Paul on his podcast a week or so ago talking about how the fit was important. The fit here is perfect. He fits alongside Tyrese Maxey beautifully. And congratulations to Tyrese.
Yeah, I feel like the spacing between him and Tyrese Maxey is going to be incredible, man. They're really going to be able to space the floor with Joel Embiid running inside deep.
Tells us he's got a $204 million deal this morning. He has absolutely earned that. He fits next to Joel Embiid as the wing in between the point guard and the big man.
Exactly.
And you've got a bona fide contender here. Now, they've got to build out this roster, and they've obviously, as Shannon said, got to be healthy. But you look at this team, you look at Philly, New York, Boston. The Northeast is now a power center.
They're looking crazy, bro.
It
The team is
happened
looking
because
crazy.
the new CBA squeezed the Clippers and opened the door for Philly. And here we are. Get ready for the Eastern Conference to be more of a factor going forward.
The Philadelphia 76ers, just a two-way players. They just landed that in Paul George.
Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about, bro. PG is that two-way player that they desperately need, bro. Especially since Jimmy Butler left. Jimmy Butler is also an incredible two-way player. He's exactly that prototype that they're looking for, bro. Because he's really going to elevate them to another level. Joel Embiid is going to be able to take breaks on defense occasionally. Paul George is going to be there to step up, man.
Two-way player, an all-NBA caliber player in Paul George.
Facts.
A guy that could do it on both ends at an elite level. So when I'm looking at the Philadelphia 76ers, yes, they're knocking at the door, and they're right there on the heels of the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks like a pair of church socks. This was a hell of a pickup by Daryl Morey. And when it comes down to it, think about this for a second.
Oh, Daryl Morey.
Also, signing
Houston
Kelly
GM.
Oubre back, who played phenomenal basketball.
They got Oubre back too, man. Oh, nah, this is a dangerous squad, bro.
For them this past postseason and this past season. Getting Paul George, maxing them out, playing alongside Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid is huge. For the simple fact that Paul George doesn't take away from those guys. Paul George could play without the ball in his hands.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to be ball dominant. And so now when you look at what the 76ers and Daryl Morey is doing, it's a great deal. And let me say this about Paul George. I appreciate him because he made himself uncomfortable. We know that he loves to live in L.A., where he was born and raised, to be around his family.
Facts.
But at the end of the day,
man, family's important, especially in the NBA.
is about business. This is about trying to go win a championship.
Facts.
This is about putting yourself in the best position possible. And sometimes you got to get uncomfortable. He did just that. Now, getting $212 million help, but at the end of the day, I love this move by the Philadelphia 76ers, and it definitely put them right in the conversation with the Celtics and the New York Knicks.
Lesson for
Hey,
all
what
of us,
y'all
guys.
think? Y'all think the 76ers stand between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics?
Willing to make
Stephen
this-
A.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Stephen A., before you go, let me say this. Perk, you said something about he made himself uncomfortable. Comfortable is a great place to be, but nothing grows there.
Facts.
You look at anybody that's ever been, that achieved greatness, or anybody that ever been great, they had to make themselves uncomfortable.
Facts.
And so that's what Paul George was willing to be, because you said it. He loved playing back on the West Coast. He's from the West Coast. His family could just drive 30 minutes to an hour and see him play on a nightly basis. But he said, this is what's best for me, my family, and the opportunity to achieve a championship was
Hey.
to go to Philly. Take off, Stephen A.
Well, first of all, Shannon Sharp, that was a spectacular point on your part, and it had better be for you to interrupt the host time and to take away.
Hey, man, y'all forgot the Stephen A. rules, man.
Better make a great point. Okay, now let's get down to it. All right,
Hey.
let me tell you something right now. I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm mad enough to own
Yo, Stephen A. always got to start by saying he's a Knicks fan, bro.
up to the fact that this move definitely elevates the Philadelphia 76ers. There's no escaping that. Paul George is a big-time pickup. I appreciate your point, Big Perk, about him willing to make himself uncomfortable
Yeah.
because we know he's out on the West Coast. He was willing to go
Hey, man, he got to go from Cali to Philly, man. Hey, man, what y'all think?
back east, getting his bag, making sure that he was insistent upon that 4-year max. Let's not also forget the fact that if the Clippers, one could easily argue, had not invested future assets into a Kawhi Leonard, for example, perpetually injury prone, perhaps you would have been in a position to give Paul George what he wanted.
Bro, and they gave up Shea, bro. They gave up Shea to get Paul George. So basically they traded Shea for nothing, bro. Unfortunately.
And Paul George might have been a bit salty about that. So let's not forget that and let's not escape that. Having said all of that, although I think this elevates the Philadelphia 76ers, yes, above the Knicks because Joel Embiid is that dude.
Right.
Tyrese Maxey is that dude.
Right.
You add Paul George, you keep Kelly Oubre. There is no question that the Sixers are a team to be reckoned with and they deserve a lot of credit. We also got to really encapsulate what they're getting in Paul George. 47% shooting from the field. 41.3% shooting from three-point
Hey, man,
range.
those some good splits.
90.7% shooting from the three-point line. All career highs.
Those some good
just
splits,
this past
man.
season.
Hey.
So this is a brother that recognized he was approaching free agency, stepped up, answered the call, his availability, and the fact that he played like an all-star. All three, him,
Right.
Maxey, and Embiid, were all all-stars last season. So we got to look at it from that standpoint, right? We also have to take a moment to say, okay, Daryl Morey, what else you gonna do to build this roster? Because you don't want to just leave it to
He's
those
still going
three.
to make a
And
few.
Daryl Morey,
They really need to add a few more role players, like a few more shooters. I would feel like, you know, like a Harrison Barnes kind of player, and maybe like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Well, he just got traded to the Mavericks, y'all didn't know. But just some good shooters around the league. I feel like that's just what they need, man.
Morey is as good of an executive as he has been. What he hasn't done is gotten his team to the finals and obviously have not delivered the championship.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that standpoint, he's got some things to accomplish as well. We'll see what will transpire from there.
Bro, Joel Embiid averaged 35 last season, bro, as a center. Nah, that's crazy, bro. This is a roster,
and look
man.
at this roster right here. Embiid, Max,
This is a roster, bro.
George, Eric Gordon,
And they got Jerry McCain coming off the bench, bro. Nah, this is a roster.
Andre Drummond. I think Andre Drummond is also a big pickup because he's a guy that'll come in there
Yes, I
and
love it.
rebound for you. That's an important point.
Rebound.
Some size, rebound. So we get all of that. I also think it's important to point out, and I'll come back to you on this, Wendy. Do we use this as an opportunity to talk about the Clippers and Lawrence Frank and ask the question, what the hell were they doing? Because you have a situation where Paul George ended up in Philly, but the Golden State Warriors had received permission weeks ago to talk from the Clippers to talk to Paul George. And when you hear what you hear emanating out of Golden State is like, yo, they offered players. It could have been a Wiggins. It could have been even a Kuminga or a CP3, a combination of some sort,
All right.
right? you know, depending on what iteration of a trade you're looking at. But the Clippers
Yeah.
were insistent, from what I've been hearing, they were insistent on picks as well.
Okay.
So you let Paul George walk out for nothing. You got it. Shannon brought this up.
Yeah, you gotta
trade-
get at least like 3 to 4 draft picks, first round unprotected for Paul George, bro, minimum.
You traded for Paul George. You traded away Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, my league MVP this past season. Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks with the ability to swap 2 additional first-round picks. And these years later, with 1 conference finals appearance and nothing else to show for it, in all the years that he's been in Los Angeles, you let this man walk out the door for nothing? This is one of those days
Nah.
where we got to ask this question about Lawrence Frank.
Hey.
What the hell were you doing?
Hey man, if y'all enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a sub down below. Hey man, I'ma catch y'all guys in the next one.